Hello and welcome to the Daily News, of course with the bunny once again. I'm sorry it's been a while. I've been a little busy, a little preoccupied. Hopefully I've got everything taken care of where I can do one of these a day. The big news is I'm going to start a brand new series. It's going to be called Games 101. Basically it's little stuff talking about certain terms in video games for people who are really new to video games to begin with, want to know a little more, or maybe you want to be, a game designer and you're kind of wondering some information. Because let's face it, I think a lot of these terms aren't really well defined, and there are some terms that aren't really well defined where people aren't really telling it quite the right way. They're only, which for instance, I would say, there is one person on YouTube that, I would say that about. I'm not going to name names because let's just face it, hey look, it's not a blaming game. Let's face it, most people, they don't really have a full knowledge of what these things are, and so since they don't, they tend to make up their own kind of definitions as they go. And so, whoa, now my head looks totally wrong. Anyway, that's better. Basically, I'm going to be telling you kind of from a game designer, maybe not a game designer, but somebody who's working towards that, what a programmer at least, what these genres, what these things mean. Like, I'm planning on talking a bit about the genres and, basic terminology, so you basically can have some good idea to judge people by. And so if you are listening to somebody and they say something that really is that is only half of the story, that you can say, hey, that's not quite right, this is how it really is. And because I've noticed with a lot of video game reviewers at times that they sort of get what's going on, but they don't fully, and because they don't fully grasp it, they tend to mess things up, and then their whole evaluation becomes really subpar because of the simple fact that they're not as informed as they could be. Anyway, and today my school books for this next semester are coming. Supposedly they're supposed to be here today. To start looking at, I have another design book which is coming this way, which I'm really eager to start reading, even though it'll be a while before I actually take the class. So I'll be able to talk some more design stuff, and I'll use the books that I have to talk about some game design. The reality is there are a lot of game design books out there. Most of them are actually really good. The ones that we're using for class so far, the first one has been pretty good. It's the book that, let me see, well, I don't have it nearby, but anyways, so I'll get it, and then when I do the Games 101 thing, I'll put it in. Yeah, I'm sorry these aren't really formatted or anything. I just, I'm not really much into video formatting. I'm not really good at it. So until I can actually find somebody who's good enough at it to actually do it for me, then they'll just be a little raw, which is okay, because I think it's better to have them raw and out there and have people actually see something unedited, unrehearsed, because that's kind of how I work. I like that better. I think when things are too rehearsed, then a lot of times the BS just rolls off of it. Just, the whole thing starts stinking up because of it. And it's just, you're not going to get as honest a commentary or even opinions if you're going to have something scripted, because you're going to think in your mind, oh yeah, this sounds awesome, but it may be total and utter nonsense, in reality. So sorry about the ums too. But I'll get better as it goes. That's the point. That's what this too. Mostly I'm doing this just you know, like I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing this stuff because I want you viewers on YouTube who are looking for this kind of information to be able to find it and say, okay, here's some really good quality information from somebody who is actually a student, somebody who is working towards their doctorate, in fact. And so you can get some really good opinions for somebody who actually knows because they've done it. Oh, which totally reminds me about something I have to say. Okay, I hear this all the time. And okay, I think it's time that somebody finally set the record straight on this. Okay, let's say, okay, you cannot do everything in a video game. Okay? Put it out there. Okay, there is no way you cannot do everything in anything in a video game. No matter how much you want to, you cannot do everything, okay? It's just impossible. The processing power you would need to do that so far exceeds supercomputers that, you know, you're not talking about, you know, people think that, oh, well, when it comes to video games, you can do everything and anything because it's been done before in something else. Well, the problem is there's a reason why no game has done it all, because you literally cannot do it all. Because you got to remember, whenever you're talking about a program, a game or something, that even though we have these remarkably really high level machines that can do all this amazing stuff, that you have to remember, I'll give you for instance, one of the reasons, for instance, like why a game is so big today compared to what it used to be, has to do with graphics. Now, here's the thing. The higher the fidelity of the graphics, the more pixelated it is, the more detailed it is, then the bigger the file that has that artwork or that art design in it has to be in order to do it. And so you have to understand, that's why one of the reasons why you can have these really beautiful quality games and they don't have much to them. Because the reality is, when you're programming for a console, when you're dealing with anything with a console, when you're building a game for a console, you only have so much space on a disk that you can use. You only have so much space on that disk or that chip or whatever that it's going to be on. You only have so much room for it, and you have to think about, okay, how much can I get out of this, you know? Because, and you know, it's one of those things. Let's face it. You know, this would make a great Games 101 discussion. Maybe I'll save it for there. Okay, I'll save it for there so you guys can actually hear it. But let's just put it this way: games cannot do everything and anything. You might think your idea is a wonderful, great idea. More than likely, a game designer has already thought of it. Why it isn't out there? Well, probably because it's something that's at this time unrealistic. Now, whether it's unrealistic now, or it'll be unrealistic, you know, in a year or two from now, or 5 years, you can never really tell. You know, the technology is really changing. But the thing is, you have to remember is that when, you know, with all the growth in technology, it takes more and more code, it takes more and more disk space, more and more processing space to do all this stuff as well. And even things that were simpler before, you know, having a 2D character walk around is very simple compared to having a fully developed 3D realistic character walking around in an environment, in a 3D environment. You know, it's just, let's face it, the mechanics of it, the process of it is completely different. You know, at the core it's the same. You know, you're going to have pretty much the same core, but then the details of it are what makes all the difference. And I think that's one of the things with people who like play games, you know, that we think when we're playing a game, yeah, everything's possible because it seems so mystical and magical. And it's something I always end up telling people. It's like, you know, you think it's so mystical and magical, but it isn't. You know, it takes logic. It takes how do I take this simple thing for us, because we just do it, you know, but for us to walk, we just move. Now, for you to make a game character walk, it takes a lot of stuff. Like, for instance, you have to make sure that the player wants it to move. you don't want it to move just because, just move, on its own and do everything on its own, because then what would be the point? Like I said, I really should say this stuff in Games 101, but like I said, there's a lot of stuff that I'm really passionate about with this, so you can tell, I know, kind of wasted a little bit of time. I played through a little more of Diablo a couple nights ago. Tried to get through Act 2 and made it through almost the whole thing, and I'm a little frustrated right now because wow, the game is adapting to me a little too much. It's like yeah, I'm still playing on the normal mode, the kind of ease mode there is, and wow, it's like everything under the sun is hitting me, and I'm using all my skills and everything, and it's not going too badly. Most of the time, if I get really swamped or something, I can usually get out of it. But I've had a couple times where I haven't, and of course, there you go, I die. It's just kind of sad. I wished I hadn't died once, but it's a lot of fun. In fact, let me tell you, my first Games 101 is going to be on topic about depth in video games, because once again, not mentioning names of who this is about, but I think people don't have a really good, clear definition of what it means for a video game to have depth or not to have depth. So I'm going to do a little discussion for the first one, basically saying, okay, well, this is depth, this is not depth, showing how, the reality is that, I could say something's deep for me, but is it deep for you? It might not necessarily be, and that's part of the problem too with a lot of commentators when they say, oh, well, a game has no depth, but I heard one commentator who the only argument he made for depth was something totally different. Not naming names again or saying where, but I heard somebody recently, like I said, not naming names, who basically, and this is the reason why I'm doing this, this one for sure, because it's like it really lit a fire into me, who basically thought depth in video games was nothing more than, was linked to nothing more than or less than, is the game linear, is the game non-linear. There's, let's just put it this way, you're gonna see when I do mines how much is really goes into the idea of, is a game deep? Does the game have any depth? Because that's part of it. That can be part of it. But let's face it, if you can name one game that has a linear storyline and has a lot of depth to it, then you've killed that argument. And it's like, you have to realize that it's very easy to kill an argument by just showing one counter example. Once you do, it kills an argument. Because the thing is, well, as much as then the person's going to say, oh, well, that's not really true, but it is the truth. The reality is, you can't say that, oh, well, these don't have depth because they aren't, like I said, I'm going to show you all the parts that make up depth in a video game, because it's one of those things where once as you really start to see this and kind of look for these certain things that I'm going to discuss in there about what makes up depth in a video game, you're going to look at I think you'll look at a lot of games differently and look at them and say, there might actually be a lot more depth to this than I really put to it, because I didn't really think, oh, well, this is related to that. But, I'm hoping that, yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to send him a little note to actually check out what I'm saying, because, yeah, he's really needs to do that. Yeah, my cute little bunny buddy here. Anyway, so, that. Anyway, so what was I going to talk about today? So I'm trying out a couple new video games. I'm still trying to get through Lego Harry Potter. I'm getting close to 100%, but what happens is then, I think it's the last 2 times I try to get 100%. What happens is in the PS3 version of Lego Harry Potter, sometimes one of the elevators near one of the in the grand hallway in Hogwarts, there is a lot of staircases which move up and down and stuff, and sideways and whatnot. Well, one of them gets stuck, and literally get stuck. And so if you do not gather everything from Dumbledore's office before that happens, then you're screwed. And that's been what's happening. Is not really thinking ahead and saying, okay, well, I know this bug exists, so I need to do something. But this time I'm going to make sure that when I do approach Dumbledore's office that I clean out everything, and then I have the right characters I need, so I can just, you know, get it all done and then not have to worry about, you know, oops, I need this and it could get stuck now. Which, still a really good game though. I mean, it's really good. It's just, the other thing I'm noticing too is like the PS3 version of it, I think there's actually some parts which aren't, that are in the Wii version but aren't in this one. Because I keep thinking there are certain parts I'm very certain that it went very differently in the Wii version, where there was more of it in the Wii version than is in the PS3. Which, if that's true, then wow, that's pretty sad. Let me think for a second. Wow, over 15 minutes already of talking. Anyway, so, you know, I'm hoping today that I can finally finish it out without having a bug hit it and get really 100%, because that's really the only thing left for me to do with it. I've done everything else in the game. It's been really fun. Been playing a little bit of World of Warcraft. I don't play as much anymore. Mostly it's because I'm just too busy, and I'm trying to do some other stuff. So World of Warcraft has to take a back seat. I'm really excited for Mists of Pandaria still, which, by the way, I think I said this in one of my earlier videos. If not, anyway, the thing is, in the beta they have finally reached the dungeons. I mean, the raids. They're actually starting to playtest raids. Which I'm really excited about, because I'm hoping, because the raids are starting to come up, that they're about ready to release the release date. The only problem is, it's like everything is in the game that they promised. Everything that they've shown has been in the game. Well, only one of the battlegrounds made it, but that was what they said, was at least one of the battlegrounds would make it. I think maybe two are in it. I think the only one that isn't is they had thought about making a Dota like map for it, but that I think is the only one that isn't. But that's okay, you know, which would have been really cool. But you know, okay, that would have been kind of fun doing that in World of Warcraft. But you know, but yeah, other than that, I think the only thing that's really missing from the beta right now, other than them having the raids fully tested out, is pet battles, which is still, like, they're still adding stuff to the pets, so like pets are getting new abilities every single little patch, and so it's like, my god, you know, it's like, why can't we test them already? It's like, we've got almost every ability showing up for everyone in the pets on the pets list. Oh yeah, also they finally have pretty much ironed out what's going to happen with mounts in the game, which is really cool. Almost all the mounts are, almost every mount in the game is actually account bound now. I think the only ones that aren't, they said, were ones for that you got from PvP rewards, and ones you get from, oh yeah, and the ones that are class specific, sort of like how, like, there's the only class specific ones I know are the Death Knight flying mount, and then the Paladin mounts, which I think there's 3 specific ones, and then the 2 Warlock ones. Other than that, nobody else really has one, if I remember right. Because yeah, with Druids, it's just a flight form, and so that really didn't count anyway. It's just one of their forms. So yeah, it's still pretty cool though. I find it really cool. Yeah, no, I really can't wait to kind of start with Mists of Pandaria. That's going to be a lot of fun. It really changes the game in so many ways. It's really cool. I mean, I love it, you know, all the different stuff I mean, everything has been given at least a little something. There's a lot of extra stuff. The quests have been, you know, some of them are going to be very similar to what's already in the game, but that's going to be an inevitability. There's only so much that you can actually do that's not going to seem the same, and there's only so much you can do different without it becoming something where it's going to get boring too. But I really applaud them the fact that they're adding a little bits of extra stuff to try and do. I mean, there's only so much you can do, especially like an MMO period, that you can really do. You can't do because, like I was trying to say earlier, you can't do everything in a video game, no matter how much you would like to. My poor little guy, he's gonna have to go up a little bit. But I gotta kind of wrap this up. Okay. I read through the Diablo archives finally. I got through the last one. Last part of it. It was it's 3 novels and a short story, which the short story took me a little longer. Well, I guess it's more of a novella because it's not a full big novel, but it's that's what a novella is. It's a smaller novel. Let's see. But yeah, it was actually really good, and the lore for it, reading it after playing Diablo 3, it's still works with Diablo 3, which is really kind of cool. Wow, it's kind of funny how so many times in that they talk about Bartok, well, you should read and find out about him. He's kind of a cool, interesting character in the Diablo lore, and everything associated with him. He seems to be in almost every one of the books in the whole thing, which is kind of interesting because they really don't have any ties to each other. They're just 4 separate stories. Next I'm hoping to start reading the Sin War novels, because that sounds kind of interesting. I always kind of wanted to read those, but I already finally got it. And there's a couple other ones that I got to do before I get the latest novels that go with Diablo 3. Of course, I've read. I'm pretty sure I've read everything. Oh no, I haven't. The only one of the Warcraft books, Warcraft/World of Warcraft books, I haven't read so far has been Wolfheart. I've read all the other ones because I'm waiting for it to come out in paperback. I just have a thing for paperbacks. They're about like usually half the price and same story, and they're a little easier for me to use to kind of read with and stuff. So I usually like those. Wow, this one's becoming very long. I really should try to wrap this up. There's rabbit hair flying everywhere. The guy's shedding. Let me think about what else. I'm gonna have a Games 101 video up. If I can manage to get a really good recording of Ability Scholarship Edition after I've done a couple other things, then I'll try to get that one out. I know I keep promising, I keep saying, I'm gonna do it. It's just, there's never enough hours in the day, and I have a lot of stuff to do at this moment. I'm having to take care of my mom because she has a knee operation, so I've been helping out with her and having a little bit of trouble because I'm having to move out of the place I'm living now to find a new place, and everything associated with it is getting a little hectic because I really, it's one of those things I want to move out and not have to move back, and not have to ever deal with well, that's for something totally different. But anyway, I'll try to wrap this up real quick. Other than that, I don't think there's too much going on. I might do a couple other videos or something else too today. We'll see what happens. There should be something up. I want to try and get these every day. We'll see. I mean, with everything I'm doing, sometimes it's a little hard, and I wasn't really sure if I could do this well today anyway. I don't think there's anything too much more that I have. I'm trying to think. Rabbit fur's all over my nose. Can't really think of much of anything at the moment. I can give some more stuff tomorrow. It's just I have a lot of stuff because it's been a while. Maybe if I do these every day, Monday through Friday, then I'll probably won't have so much. Anyway, so I think that's just about it for today. Okay, see you tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have some more news then. Okay, bye.